Please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Family dinners are supposed to be warm, full of laughter and love. But that night, as I sat at the table across from my sister, the air was heavy, so heavy it felt like no one could breathe. She leaned in with her perfect smile, the one she wore whenever she wanted to belittle me, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "My sister. Oh, she's nobody. Just drifting around, barely making ends meet. Honestly, I don't even know what she does these days." The table erupted with forced laughter. My cheeks burned, not from shame, but from the secret I carried, the secret that could silence every mocking giggle in that room. Her fiancé, seated beside her, hadn't laughed. He had been watching me. And when I finally looked up, our eyes locked. For the first time all night, he froze. His face went pale. His fork slipped from his hand and clattered against the plate. Because unlike my sister, he knew exactly who I was. And the truth was about to rip their perfect little world apart. I've always been the shadow in my family. The forgotten one. While my sister, Olivia, wore crowns of gold, beauty pageants, valedictorian speeches, engagement rings that could blind you, I was the one swept under the rug. The one Mom whispered about with disappointment. They said I was the quiet one. The plain one. The girl who would never make anything of herself. But what they didn't know was that I had already made everything of myself. The more they pushed me aside, the harder I worked in silence. The later my nights stretched, the deeper my sacrifices cut. And when I finally rose, I rose higher than even my sister's wildest dreams. Still, I never cared to flaunt it. I lived in the background, letting them believe their own lies about me. Until that dinner. Until the way my sister sneered at me in front of her fiancé, as if crushing me was her sport. But the mistake she made was bringing him into it. Because her fiancé knew my world. He had walked the halls of the empire I built. He had seen my name, etched in gold, where no one expected it. And when recognition flickered in his eyes, I knew the clock had started ticking. My sister thought she had one. She had no idea her entire life was about to unravel, by my truth. The room had gone silent after his fork clattered. My sister tried to brush it off with a laugh. "What's wrong, babe? You look like you've seen a ghost," she teased, nudging him with her elbow. But he didn't laugh. He didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on me, like I had just walked out of the shadows carrying his deepest fear. And in that moment, everyone at the table noticed. "Is everything okay?" my mother asked, dabbing her lips with a napkin, her usual mask of concern slipping. "Fine," he muttered, though his voice cracked. He reached for his glass, his hand trembling slightly, spilling a drop of wine across the tablecloth. My sister, annoyed at being upstaged, leaned forward. "Ignore her. She's nobody. She's just my sister." But that was her second mistake. Because he didn't see nobody. He saw the woman behind the empire that signed his paychecks. He saw me. I had met him before. Not in person, not directly, but through the endless contracts and board meetings where his name had appeared. He worked for one of the companies I quietly invested in. And while he thought he was simply moving up in the world by merit, I had been the invisible hand that cleared his path. Yes, my nobody self had been the reason he was sitting at that dinner table in the first place. And he knew it. That was why his face drained of color, why his lips trembled as my sister's words poisoned the air. Because if I decided to reveal who I truly was, if I unmasked myself in that very moment, his entire engagement would explode. After dinner, I slipped away to the balcony for air. But I wasn't surprised when the door creaked open and he followed me. "It's you," he whispered. I didn't answer. I only raised a brow, letting the silence strangle him. "You can't. You won't tell her, will you?" he asked, desperation clinging to every word. And that was when I smiled. For the first time all night, I let the truth settle between us like a storm about to break. That depends, I whispered, on how much you value the lies you're living in. At breakfast the next morning, my sister prattled on about wedding cakes and honeymoon destinations, oblivious to the tension hanging between her fiancé and me. He tried to act normal, laughing at her jokes, holding her hand, but every time his eyes flickered to me, his mask slipped. I caught the panic in his pupils, the sweat at his temples, the way his fingers gripped his coffee cup like it was his last anchor to sanity. "You're awfully quiet today," my sister teased, squeezing his arm. "Just tired," he muttered. But she didn't notice the way his fork clattered against the plate, or the way he nearly dropped his phone when my voice brushed the air. "Pass the sugar." 2 words, and he almost fell apart. Later that evening, I overheard him on the phone. His voice was low, sharp, frantic. "No, she's here. At the dinner." "Yes, her. You don't understand, if she tells, everything collapses." He paused. My sister's laughter echoed from the living room. He lowered his voice further. "I can't marry her if..." "No. Don't say that. I'll handle it. Just keep her quiet." The way he said her sent a chill through me. He wasn't just afraid of my truth, he was plotting against me. And I smiled in the dark. Because I had been waiting for this. I decided not to expose him right away. That would have been too easy, too merciful. No, I wanted him to sweat. To unravel until his lies strangled him in front of the very people who thought I was nobody. So I laid the first stone. Over dinner, I casually mentioned, "Funny how small the world is. How some people cross paths long before they realize it." His fork froze midair. "What do you mean?" my sister asked. I smiled. "Oh, nothing. Just that I've been in the same circles as some of the most unexpected people." His face turned ghostly pale. My sister laughed, not catching on. But I knew the noose was tightening. The days crawled toward the wedding like a predator stalking its prey. My sister floated in a cloud of bliss, gushing about flowers, dresses, and first dances, never once noticing the storm brewing behind her fiancé's eyes. He avoided me whenever he could, but fate wasn't so kind. At every family gathering, at every pre-wedding event, his gaze would snag on mine. He'd look away quickly, but not before the fear leaked out. I kept quiet, playing my part as nobody. But in silence, I was sharpening the knife of truth. 3 nights before the wedding, he cracked. We were alone for a moment, my sister gone to grab wine from the kitchen. His voice came out in a hiss. "What do you want from me?" I tilted my head, amused. "Want? Money? To keep your mouth shut?" I laughed, a soft, dangerous laugh. "Oh no. I don't need your money. I have something far more valuable." He swallowed hard. His hands shook. My sister returned just in time to see his pale face and my calm smile. "You okay, babe?" she asked. "Just tired," he muttered again. But his eyes screamed otherwise. The church bells rang. Guests filled the pews. My sister glowed in her white dress, radiant, oblivious. But he, her perfect groom, looked like a man being led to the gallows. Sweat slicked his forehead. His tie strangled him. His hands trembled so badly he nearly dropped the ring. When the priest asked if anyone objected, I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. Because that was when he broke. "I can't do this," he blurted, voice cracking. Gasps rippled through the church. My sister froze. "What are you talking about?" He shook his head violently, eyes darting to me, then back to her. "You don't understand. You don't know who she is, who your sister really is, what she knows about me." His words splintered into panic. My sister turned to me, eyes wide, pleading for answers. I rose slowly, my heels echoing on the marble floor. The entire church turned as I stepped forward. "You're right," I said calmly, my voice slicing the silence. "She doesn't know. But she deserves to." My sister's hands trembled. "Know what?" I looked her fiancé dead in the eye. "Tell her, or I will." He stammered, shook his head, tears forming. So I told her myself. And what I revealed, about his past, about how I'd known him long before she ever met him, about the dark, ugly truth he tried to bury, made the entire church erupt in whispers. My sister collapsed into her seat, her dream wedding crumbling around her. Her fiancé, her perfect man, wasn't who he claimed to be. And I was the only one who had seen through him from the start. The silence was so thick you could hear the chandeliers creak overhead. All eyes were on me. My sister's lips trembled, her bouquet wilting in her hands. Her fiancé, no, her liar, looked like he might faint. I inhaled slowly, then let the words drip like poison. Your perfect fiancé wasn't always so perfect. He wasn't always yours either. Confusion flickered across her face. Gasps rippled through the pews. He was mine first, I said, my voice steady, sharp. Before you even knew his name, he was in my life. He promised me forever, too. But when he thought I was nobody, he left me. Tossed me aside. Said I wasn't good enough to stand by his side. The color drained from her face. But that wasn't all, I continued, stepping closer, every word cutting deeper. He didn't just leave me. He left me broken, and carrying his child. The room exploded. Shouts. Whispers. A woman fainted in the back pew. My sister staggered back, her veil slipping off. You're lying. This isn't. I pulled a small envelope from my purse, one I'd been waiting years to use. DNA results. Photographs. Letters. Proof. Ask him if it's a lie, I said coldly. Ask him who's been paying hush money all these years. He dropped to his knees, sobbing, unable to speak. That silence was all the confession anyone needed. My sister's dream wedding dissolved into chaos. Guests stormed out, reporters whispered, her bridesmaids pulled her away, but her eyes never left me. It wasn't just her heart breaking, it was the illusion of superiority she'd always held over me. She'd spent years calling me nobody, laughing at my struggles, parading her perfect life in my face. And now, her entire foundation was ashes, because of the man she thought made her better than me. And me. I didn't cry. I didn't falter. I stood tall, letting the weight of the truth sink into every soul in that church. For the first time in my life, they saw me not as the forgotten sister, not as the nobody, but as the storm they never saw coming. Weeks later, the engagement was over. The wedding never happened. My sister couldn't walk down the street without whispers following her. He disappeared, his reputation ruined. And me. I didn't need revenge spelled out. Their destruction was enough. Because sometimes the most powerful justice isn't screaming, fighting, or tearing someone apart. Sometimes it's standing still while the truth they feared most, does all the work for you. And in that silence, I smiled. I was never the nobody. I was the one holding all the power.